here at the crater now at Petersburg. This is basically, there's not one big giant crater. It is basically just a series of depressions in the ground, because there are basically 4 magazine kind of lateral tunnels that the miners from the 48th Pennsylvania dug in order to pack the explosives into. And so those exploded at, not in one giant space. Basically, they kind of along a short line. So you end up with these kind of multiple depressions. But as this thing here says, a stupendous failure. That's absolutely right. It was a giant debacle. The Union troops were not well led. Their commander, James Ledley, was drunk and hiding back behind the lines. The U.S. colored troops who had been trained to lead the assault were pulled back, and white troops ended up leading the assault who had not been trained or prepared for what they were supposed to do. I think the reasoning was that there was concern that it would look like they were sacrificing the colored troops on a risky gamble if the plan didn't work out, and so they replaced the black troops with white troops. But the white troops didn't know what they were supposed to do, and so when they charged in after the crater exploded, they just stood around the edges and gawped at it, or ran down into the crater itself instead of going around it. Some troops went around, but not enough of them, and they were fired on by the flanks from the Confederates along the line on either side of the gap where the crater appeared. And so they ended up not being able to advance, and then the troops that had run down into the crater ended up trapped there. There was a 30-foot deep hole. They had no ladders or anything in which to get out, and so they were stuck there. And then once the Confederates regrouped and formed their counterattack, they all just ran up along the edge of the crater and just fired down into the troops that were in it. They ended up executing a lot of them, who were the colored troops. They didn't take any of the colored troops prisoner, and it was just a giant scene of carnage, and as General Grant said, the saddest affair that he witnessed in